Hello and welcome to Round 5 coverage here at Grand Prix Sacramento. I'm Brian Dave Marshall. Wake up, Ben Stark. Come on, you got some magic to play. He's 4-0. He's playing against Ben Hull, former Rookie of the Year, also at 4-0.
I actually got to play against Ben earlier this week in this very format.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, he beat me.
He does that. He's got over 500 lifetime pro points. You don't get to that kind of number without beating a lot of people along the way. Debuted at Pro Tour London in 1999, 4 top 8s. He's got the win at Pro Tour Paris and 24 Grand Prix top 8s along the way, too. So,
wow. It's kind of a famous Pro Tour that he won also. It was
Magic
definitely
Weekend.
Kai top 8 of that PT. That was, I think, as far as exciting storylines go, one of my favorite Magic Weekends ever.
So Gargoyle, Sentinel, and Skyscanner are the early drops here from Ben Stark. Ben Hull, who mulliganed, started things off with a Diagraph Ghoul and a Fountain of Renewal. So not a fast start here for either player. Well, there's Plague Mare, card we've talked a little bit about, and it clears the way for a Diagraph Ghoul to attack. And Ben Hull is ticking his life total up each turn with that fountain. Card we've seen multiple people playing now in sealed, and I'm assuming that that's just for that ability to draw a card later on in the game, but maybe gain a little bit of life total stabilization. It seems like the type of card a lot of pros don't necessarily want to be playing.
Yeah, oftentimes you're going to be sideboarding it in when you know that your opponent is trying to just get in underneath you, and that if the game goes to like turn 7 or later, you have a major advantage. Another time you're sideboarding it in if you are a deck that plays cards like Psychic Corrosion and you're just trying to buy time, things like Patient Rebuilding. And other times if you have multiple copies of a powerful uncommon like a Johnny's Pridemate, that card can turn into just a very, very powerful engine.
Can't tell you, there is a Johnny's Pridemate in Ben Hull's list. So that may explain it. Elvish Rejuvenator was the play for Ben Stark. Got him from 3 to 4 mana there. But he's a little constrained. There we see a kind of contentious card, Chaos Wand. How do you feel about this card? Is this something you always start in your seal deck?
Yes, in seal deck I think this card is tremendous. I've had the opportunity to play it in draft once, and in the one game I played it turned out to be too slow, but I imagine there are, draft decks that can use this card to its fullest extent. This is a really powerful spell that can, repeatedly allow you to use some of the best cards in your opponent's deck against them.
Yeah, there we get a look at Chaos Wand. 4 mana, tap, target opponent exiles cards from the top of their library until they exile an instant or sorcery, and then you can play that card without paying its mana cost. But then those exiled cards, not a mill card, those exiled cards go on the bottom of their library in a random order.
Yeah, and there are some interesting things that can come up here. For example, Ben Hull, he's playing a Blood Divination in his deck. And if Ben Stark happens to Chaos Wand and hit a card like Blood Divination, the sacrifice a creature part of that is an additional cost. So he will not have to sacrifice that creature. He'll just
it's not going to happen here because Ben Hull has the Blood Divination, and he's using it right now. Sacrifices his Diagraph Ghoul. And finds a third color. So what is he splashing for? We see a little blue splash down there.
Chromium the Mutable. It's a pretty nice card to splash for. If I'm in that market, it's the one I'd like to have.
So he's going Esper Dragons here, or Esper Dragon. Just one. Chromium the Mutable.
Interesting decision from Ben Hull here. He has 2 Meteor Golems, and he's only playing one of them.
Oh, wow.
I mean, that it would be 3 7-drops for what it's worth.
Yeah. So Chromium the Mutable taking up one of those Meteor Golem spots on the bench. And there you see a 6th mana now. Oh, look at this. Trusty Pack Beast. It's going to return the Fountain of Renewal.
Yeah, and I like this. There's nothing I love like a good grind. And sacrificing your Fountain of Renewal to draw a card to set up the Trusty Pack Beast play is pretty nice.
Well, here Ben Stark has seen a blue. So he's like, well, maybe you've got an Essence Scatter in your deck. Let me see what you've got working here. That Trusty Pack Beast has not resolved yet. He's considering the Chaos Wand.
I mean, when we take a look at the cards
in the end,
here.
he did let it resolve.
Oh.
And there we see Lich's Caress is the play here. And Ben's just going to use it. Take down. I'm going to just start saying Stark and Hull here because it's going to get a little confusing. Stark uses it to take down the 2/4. Gains a little life back himself here. Now, how many instants or sorceries are in Hull's deck?
So Hull has a pair of Lich's Caress. It's a really powerful one. He has that Blood Divination that we saw him cast already. Then he has a pair of Take Vengeance. So his creatures are going to have to be tapped for that to work. He has a Cleansing Nova, which could be crazy if Stark hit that.
Oh, wow.
So some really powerful spells here from Hull.
And they're all just removal spells.
Yes.
Of one form or another.
Except for the Blood Divination, which he already cast.
Yeah. And also, Ben Stark gets to see basically your entire deck.
Yeah.
Which is, not where you want to be.
He's somebody who can use that information against you quite effectively, I imagine.
All right, passes the turn. Let's see what happens here. Now, there's a Take Vengeance, and that's going to not do anything. There's no tapped creatures. So it's just going to go on the bottom. See Ben just checking to see if there's some way he can just try to cast it in exile. Just give it a read. Just double check.
Is there some time window where I could twiddle?
All right, so here you look at him. He's just keeping man. There's Thorn Lieutenant from Ben Stark.
Yeah, and we've talked about 2-drops maybe not having too much of an effect later on in the game. In this format, that is one that does a really good job of that. It's also just a 2/3 for 2, which is great because it trumps the vast majority of other 2-drops, even some 3-drops.
Well, here's a Meteor Golem. And what is it going to target?
Cannonball.
Perhaps Chaos Wand? Yes, it is. So let's get a good look here at Ben Hull's list as we proceed to exile these cards temporarily. This keeps going. All right. See, all right, moving those so we can get a better look at them. Thank you, Thing. Thank you, Thing.
Yes. I believe that is Judge Michael Arrowsmith.
Oh, and there's a Cleansing Nova. Wow.
Yeah, and this is an interesting decision for Ben because, both players have 3 creatures on the table. Ben could just, clean things up. He's behind a land then. His Chaos Wand will be gone. He could also, choose to destroy artifacts and enchantments, which would trade his Gargoyle Sentinel for the Meteor Golem. It's another angle that he could choose here. I imagine he's just going to destroy all creatures.
Yeah, I mean, his creature's not super impressive at the moment.
And he's been, using the wand every turn that he can. So he has not been casting spells from hand, so he probably still has quite a bit to do.
Now Ben is thinking about his Cleansing Nova, the Cleansing Nova that he borrowed from his neighbor anyway.
Hull, though, has done a good job of generating his own stream of advantages over the course of this game.
Yeah, that Fountain of Renewal's drawn him a couple extra cards.
Yeah, alongside the Trusty Pack Beast, Meteor Golem, got him a nice 2-for-1 here. The Plague Mare, while it only dealt with a card that already drew a card itself, it at least put
He's
Ben in a
gonna
position.
destroy all artifacts. Actually, get rid of the Meteor Golem and his Chaos Wand that was gonna die anyway. But as you said, looks like a handful of cards there for Ben Stark.
Yeah, so basically his decision, which was a close decision, was between him doing what he did here, leaving this board, or just making the board completely empty. So right now he has to like the way his Thorn Lieutenant matches up, and Threat of Activation is going to mean that card's going to be getting in quite a bit.
Yeah, if we can pump 6 mana into that to give it +4/+4. Oh, and he's got Gasbark Twins.
Yeah.
So suddenly the board very much favoring Ben Stark. There's a Johnny's Pride Mate. There's the other Lich's Caress. He's going to get a counter on the Johnny's Pride Mate. But still kind of under the siege by that Thorn Lieutenant, and can't really, just painful to target it. That 2-for-1 thing that you keep talking about. And now Ben Hall goes on the attack. I think the Johnny's Pride Mate is summoning sick.
Yeah, that cannot attack this turn. There was just a Lich's Caress cast immediately following that Pride Mate. And
you see Ben just talk to the judge, which is the way you do it. You say, hey, Judge, this is what just happened. And what they're going to say is, yep, back it up. Now, did Ben get to see the Chromium Dragon did Stark get to see the Chromium Dragon as Hull flipped through the cards in his deck?
I'm not sure.
I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to look at that yet. And that means that if it's not already in Ben's hand, that it's probably pretty close. Because I think the only spell we saw that hadn't been flipped or shown out of Ben's hand so far was a single copy of Take Vengeance, meaning that there aren't many cards between that Chromium and Hull.
Ben just still has a fistful of cards. This is what we talked about this a little bit again, that idea of just playing things out so that you just are always up on cards. You go up on the board. Talons of Vastwood on top of the
Elvish Rejuvenator.
The Elvish Rejuvenator just wants to get it up to a 2/2. Talons of Wildwood, pardon me. I always get my neighborhoods confused. I've been super impressed with this card, by the way. Really a card that I did not think was going to be very good. Got my butt kicked by it a couple times. And I've been playing it, and it's just really impressed me. It's, that late game flexibility that, you can just put it on something defensively. All right, so... see, that was at a Drillmaster Cavalier.
Yeah, so it's a Cavalry Drillmaster.
Cavalry Drillmaster, sorry.
See, this is a 2-drop that's just a 2/1 that I like quite a bit because
sure.
Even when you draw it later on in the game, the fact that it can force through an attack, it makes the card quite valuable.
Oh, and then there's the other Take Vengeance that was in hand for Ben Hall. He's going to get a 1/1, but then Skeleton Archer's going to come down. Wow, look at Ben deploying his hand now and whittling Ben Stark's team down to just those wolves. Skeleton Archer's a card also that's done some great work for me.
And Ben here with this massive board, Hull with this massive board, Stark with cards like Plummet just dead in hand. Kind of rough for him, especially when you're playing against an opponent who's playing black, blue, and white. You'd expect him to have played a single flyer at this point in the game.
So Ben not out of gas yet, though. And he is going to land another big threat here.
Yeah, the good uncommon 5 in red.
The Siegebreaker Giant. Yeah.
All these colors have one these days.
But you know what? Ben Hull is just attacking with everybody. 6-3 and a 4-5. Don't scare Ben Hall. And we didn't see an inspired charge or anything like that when you looked through his list, did you?
No. He has an inspired charge on the board, but this is game 1, so.
Yeah. So here we see Ben just throwing away a couple creatures there. But
and that was a really safe block from Ben. I like that a lot. He set himself up well that even if there was some type of pump spell at the ready for Hull, Stark would still be able to get that Pride Mate off the table.
Yeah, gets Ben down to 6, right? Also gets to clear that giant, so makes a trade there. 5 cards still in hand for Ben Stark.
I believe he has Sarkhan's Unsealing now in hand. Which
Oh,
is
wow.
a card we saw Alexander Hayne kind of go off with in one game in the last round. Card I've been really impressed with in the sealed format.
So let's see what he plays here.
I was likely mistaken about that card if
Yeah.
he's playing the Ogre.
So Stark has the Viashino Pyromancer and the Inaki Ogre.
Here it is. We've been waiting for it.
Oh, boy.
Finally on the table. Ben's like, oh, look, a target for my... Oh, wait, never mind.
And there is Chromium the Mutable. Flashes it in at the end of the turn. Flies over. He's like, what do you got? 7-7. You're at 6. Ben's got to come up with something. We know he's got the plummet.
Yeah, so he can at least survive.
No,
but
he's gonna scoop him up. Maybe you were off on the plummet.
no, I'm pretty sure he had it. Maybe he just has no answer for the Chromium whatsoever.
Right. Yeah, he does have the main deck plummet for sure. So, all right. Well, Chromium the Mutable closes that game out for Ben Hull, and Ben Stark has to look to his sideboard. Anything interesting in there that you as you see this white-black deck, the plummet, while there's a target for it, that was the only one he saw.
Yeah, I imagine the plummet is coming out here. A card like Sure Strike could definitely come in. I think that Ben will likely want to bring in maybe just a Sure Strike.
Yeah.
I think all of the removal that he saw out of Ben, and he basically saw Ben's entire library, was sorcery speed. So a card like Sure Strike, you can't really get punished with it the way you might against other decks that include black. Like he didn't see a murder.
Now, Ben Hull has, not a ton of options here as far as his. Doesn't have an Angel Dawn main deck. Yeah, he has one in his sideboard. Also has a Make a Stand in his sideboard. Is that a card? If you see, some removal from Stark over the course of the game, or maybe even, looking to put some cards that are not going to be as exciting for your opponent to hit off of a Chaos Wand, at the end of turn.
So Make a Stand is
+1, +0, and
indestructible for your whole team.
Yeah.
So this is a card that I really like to sideboard in against other opponents who are kind of like the white go wide decks when I'm playing cards like, Gallant Cavalry and whatnot. It often turns their Inspired Charge turn into, a Plague Wind where they lose their whole team. Ben Hull could also set up the major combo wherein he has the combination of Cleansing Nova with Make a Stand, where both players get into a stalled board situation. And he's a deck that has a lot of chippy kind of gain life stuff, so he can create that situation. It's not completely out of the question. Though trying to set up some wacky walk into my trap plan against
that's never
one
worked
of the most
against Ben
accomplished,
Stark.
one of the most accomplished limited players who's ever lived may not be the best idea.
Now, how stressed do you get about Chaos Wand if you're Ben Hull?
So some people I've seen sideboard out a tremendous number of cards. Just they want to turn that Chaos Wand into an unimpressive card. I don't think you want to jump through too many hoops to make that card bad for your opponent. I think that it's going to be a powerful card. I think Hull's deck, it really is relying quite heavily on cards like Lich's Caress, cards like Cleansing Nova, even the Take Vengeance, which are not great for Stark to hit off of his Chaos Wand.
Yeah.
So I don't think you really want to warp your deck into a different strategy to beat the Chaos Wand. If you're a deck that has, maybe like one or two good targets for the Chaos Wand, maybe you want to sideboard them out and make that a bad card. But Ben Hull's deck, too many of his best cards are good targets for that. He's not going to want to take them out.
And you see Ben has a lot of sleeved cards there.
Yeah, Ben may be switching a color here.
Ben may have done
Ben
a color
Stark.
Ben Stark
Yeah.
may have done his colors. Sorry.
No, I've been doing it as well. It's easy to fall into that trap. It's a fun name to say also. So it's
I'm just looking and seeing what options Stark has in terms of other colors. Do you think maybe something like, black that has, murder, mind rot, rise from the grave, things like that.
yeah, Fell Spectre. He definitely saw a Meteor Golem and a Chromium.
Right.
That's a pair of cards that are going to
Interesting.
greatly incentivize somebody like Ben Stark to be playing cards like Mind Rot and Fell Spectre. If you were to know that Hull could be sideboarding in an additional Meteor Golem, I think he would be further incentivized to bring in cards like that. Stark also just has a decent set of black cards here to work with. We look through these cards: Strangling Spores, Bloodletter, Rise from the Grave, Ravenous Harpy, Nightmare's Thirst, Murder, Mind Rot. Every single one of these cards is something that I imagine he would be happy to be playing against Hull. So,
And he did. Ben Stark did put Ben Hull on the play here.
okay.
You see, Ben Hull was resolving his mulligan first, chose to go to 6 again. Ben Stark is keeping his hand, and he's going to be working with 7. I would not be surprised to see the Mind Rot play here. Again, I don't know how many, if he did a full color switch or not, but usually when you see a player have, 15 to 20 sleeved cards in their sideboard, that indicates the ability to just swap in a whole color. And I'm not really seeing much in terms of his blue or white that's going to make him want to bring in that as a color. So, now, did you get a look at Ben Hull's sideboarding? Was he bringing in that second Meteor Golem?
I didn't see what he chose to sideboard, but it seems to me like he wants to set himself up for a longer game here. Ben isn't just trying to cheese him out with, Rustwing Falcon with an enchantment on it or something like that.
All right, Hull gets things underway here with a Fountain of Renewal. No Johnny's Pride Mate on turn 2, though, for him. And there you see Druid of the Cowl for Stark. He's got the 1/3 Ramper. It doesn't look like he went into deep into his sideboard here for black cards.
Yeah, Druid of the Cowl, one of the very best commons in the set. When Ben's on the draw here, it's like he stole the play, if you will, by playing that Druid of the Cowl.
There's a Magistrate Scepter. That's the big sideboard play here from Ben Stark.
All right, so what this card does is you can pay 4 mana and put a counter on it, and once you get 3 counters, you can tap it and remove them, and you can take an extra turn. Ben's setting up for a long game here, and it's a long game where he's going to be taking more turns than Hull.
Wow. So deep into the sideboard tank went Ben Stark, and he came out with a Magistrate Scepter. He's under no pressure right now from Ben Hull. So he's just going to sit back and maybe get a counter on his Scepter here. Yes, he is.
Having a Scepter with 2 counters on it, 2 counters with 4 mana untapped, and getting that card like that Meteor Golem has to be the worst feel bad of the universe.
Oh, yeah. But now it's got 2 counters on it, and Ben Hull's not going to have time to get a Meteor Golem to hit that Magistrate Scepter.
He could Cleansing Nova it away.
Sure. Wow. Are we going to see?
Oh, we're definitely going to see it. It's going to be great.
All right, Hired Blade tries to ambush the Druid of the Cowl, but Ben Stark has a shock at the ready. There is land number 6, and that is counter number 3 on Magistrate Scepter.
And this is where...
And there is Gaspark Twins. He's like, oh, by the way, I'd like to untap with my Gaspark Twins. So there you see Ben Stark takes a second turn. after playing the Twins. Crazy. And now he's got a Chaos Wand. And things are getting interesting here.
Lots of artifacts with 4-mana activations on the battlefield here for Stark.
Can he complete his set of wands? Can he get a transmogrifying wand too?
Fortunately, he didn't open one.
Ah.
But
See
the wand theme has not been
All right.
fully unlocked for Stark here.
So here's Lich's Caress targeting the Gaspark Twins. All right, well, he's like, let's see if you sided and make a stand. All right, spin that wheel. Oh, it's a Cleansing Nova.
Oof.
Ben takes a look at his hand. Then you see Cleansing Nova. I don't really think Ben Stark wants to do either of those things.
No.
He's like, you can put that Cleansing Nova on the bottom of your deck.
The chaos.
Yeah.
Ben right now, really frustrated that he didn't put an extra counter on the Magistrate step there.
So now Stark untaps, though. He's got 8 mana, or 7 mana. One more land, and he'll have both. You see he's holding an Electrify. Is he just going to sit back and... No. All right, Elvish Rejuvenator's the play here. He whiffs.
Yeah, it's hard to whiff there. A lot of powerful cards also that he's about to put on the bottom of his library.
Wow.
I think includes both Sarkhan's Unsealing, Volcanic Dragon.
See another sideboard card, by the way, from Ben Stark. Recollect in that set of cards. So an actual whiff there on Elvish Rejuvenator. Something which very rarely happens. But, Recollect, just kind of one more mana than a regrowth, but exactly just that card. Other than that. And, obviously just looking at, all the ability of, Ben Hull to have Cleansing Nova, just, maybe wanting to be like, okay, I just need to be able to, reset my board or do something. So there's Plague Mare. It's going to take out the Rejuvenator. Yeah. Ben's just going to activate Chaos Wand. Ben Stark's going to activate Chaos Wand just to see. Who knows? Maybe I'll get some sort of giant... Yeah, he's like, do you want to take vengeance, you Druid of the Cowl? It's your only target.
And this has been a very bad Chaos Wand for Ben Stark. He's so far put 11 mana into this card, and it has accomplished
That's certainly
Yeah.
the sort of negative mark on it from its critics, right? I mean, this is a card I've seen a lot of people talking about it, and it can be pretty dreary sometimes to invest all of that time and energy. But Talons of Wildwood, of that, and Thornhide Wolves is the play. See Ben Stark just tap all the way out to do that.
And that's a 5/6 trample. It's an impressive threat.
I think we're going to get a Meteor Golem here. Yep, Meteor Golem's going to take down the Chaos Wand.
Which is good because it prevents Ben from making the mistake of trying to activate it anymore. It prevents Stark from doing that.
Yeah. But
be careful about this Ben thing.
In comes the 5/6. There's a Bristling Boar. And you know what? Ben Stark is, not too far away from maybe being able to take another extra turn. But here is another copy of Take Vengeance in hand for Ben Hull. Oh, and then he's got a Vampire Sovereign to claw back some life here.
Yeah, Vampire Sovereign, we've seen it already this weekend. This is one of the best uncommons in the set. 3/4 flyer for 5 mana, already a nice deal. Plus in that patented Siege Rhino ability.
And we're going to see the Talons come back, go on the Bristling Boar. There's no creature with 4 power on Ben Hull's side of the board that can block that. Stark still short of mana from being able to activate his Scepter. Yeah, you talk about card advantage a lot, Jake, but we don't talk about turn advantage. Ben Stark up a turn. And there we see a Plummet finally finding some work here from Ben Stark to take down that Vampire Sovereign. And then Dwindle is going to jump onto the Bristling Boar. And then Trusty Backbeast into Fountain of Renewal again. So Ben Hull's playing this game. He's staying at parity card-wise here. There's a Sky Scanner for Ben Stark.
Yeah, Ben Hull playing quite nicely.
Yeah, gets a value. And right here, something like the Fountain of Renewal, in a game that's so close, those points of life really do matter. And, he just wants to get to Chromium. Again, not a card that Ben Stark can really deal with.
It's a tough card to deal with for anybody.
Yeah.
I think Ben Stark's best answer to Chromium in a matchup like this is Chaos Wand into Hull's Nova.
Oh, not terrible.
It works.
He's going to have to get to his Recollect. There's another Meteor Golem, and that time it's going to take down the Magistrate Scepter. And wow, Meteor Golem just looks awesome here for Ben Hull. Definitely glad he brought in that second copy.
And Meteor Golem, one of the cards that I'm happiest to open when I'm playing Sealed Deck in this format. I can play it in any deck I want to. Destroys the biggest, baddest thing on my opponent's side of the table while also giving me a body that I can potentially return with things like Gravedigger or Macabre Waltz. Stark's fallen really far behind now.
Yeah, he just cast Tormenting Voice to find 2 fresh cards. But he is under the gun here. Going to attack with the Sky Scanner. Gargoyle Sentinel and the Talons with the Talons on it is the play here. All right, can he sneak through enough damage? Can he make that Gargoyle Sentinel fly? Get in there? Can he find, 3 extra points of damage somehow?
And the window keeps closing also.
Yeah.
So every turn Hull gets, it seems like he's just pulling further and further ahead. He has such a top-end heavy deck.
Yeah, now Ben Hull has cycled his Fountain of Renewal. And he's pumped the brakes on attacking here. Doesn't want to just throw a creature away into the 4/4. And Ben goes to the air, gets in for 5. And Ben Hull is kind of is like on Chromium or no here.
Yeah, and for Hull, he has a lot of cards that can get him back into this because even some of his removal spells are also life gain spells. So if he were to get something like a Lich's Caress, it would pad his life total while also pushing him way ahead.
Ben shows that he would block with the Druid of the Cowl, but Hull only attacks with... there's the Lich's Caress. He only attacks with the 2 Meteor Golems. There's the Lich's Caress for the Gargoyle, Sentry Gargoyle. Gargoyle Sentinel. There we go. And Ben Stark is thinking right now.
If Ben has some type of naturalize effect, he may be thinking about using it on his own Gargoyle Sentinel to prevent Hull from gaining the 3 life here.
Okay. But then I guess he can also theoretically use that on the Meteor Golem to save 3 life later on.
Yeah.
In fact, there you see the card was Smelt. So another sideboard card, and does decide that he is going to smelt one of the Meteor Golems instead of getting that 3 points of life. puts the talons down, makes a 2-4 druid of the cowl, and passes the turn. Both players are at 6.
And one would assume that, at this top deck stage of the game, Hull would have pretty decent advantage after having seen both players' deck lists. Hull with card draw spells and a bigger top end.
Yeah, so Meteor Golem is going to trade for a Sky Scanner. Trusty Pack Beast is going to peck away for 2. Plague Mare stays home, and there's a Gargoyle Sentinel, all Hull's own. All right.
Now Hull trying to get in those last points here, can go into the air with the Sentinel.
Greenwood Sentinel, another card that came out of the sideboard for Ben Stark. And there's the Ajani's Pride Mate. Ben's at 1. Extends a hand. Ben Hull goes to 5-0. Gets past a Pro Tour Hall of Famer there. You see him just shaking his head. Clearly not super happy with his play. Ben Stark has left a lot of people feeling that way. It's not that often that they come away with that feeling and the win. Usually you see them shaking their head like that, and really that's because they lost. And but Ben made the most of it. What's your card of that match? I got to ask you.
Card of that match, I'm gonna have to say Meteor Golem.
Yeah, that was.
And
my take.
Don't even think it's particularly close.
I mean, when you look at the Ben Hull's list, that's not necessarily the 7-drop you think you're going to pick. He has Chromium the Mutable in his deck, and Chromium won him a game, but really Meteor Golem and then the second Meteor Golem that he sided into there in game 2 was just tremendous for him. I would have liked Magistrate Scepter to get into the mix here, but the Meteor Golem literally just went into the arena with it and destroyed it. So it's got to be Meteor Golem. Great job by former Rookie of the Year Ben Hull, taking down the Hall of Famer Ben Stark. We got more Magic coming up right after these messages. Don't go anywhere. hello. Welcome back here to Round 5 coverage, the pro show at Grand Prix Sacramento. Brian David Marshall, Jake Van Lunen. We just watched former Rookie of the Year Ben Hull take down Hall of Famer Ben Stark. But we have more magic to show you. Let's head down to the feature match area and see what we've got in store for us here on Time Walk. We have Sam Pardee versus Daniel Wong. Both of these players are 4-0. Let's see if I can get you a little information about Daniel Wong. Well, you know what? This seems like we got a lot of Grand Prix Vegas people here because he got 7th at Grand Prix Vegas in 2017, playing Modern with a blue-black Taking Turns deck. I know that's something that is aligned with your interests, Jake Van Lunen.
Yeah, so Daniel Wong is the master of the Modern Taking Turns deck. He has a foiled out version of the deck that he's been playing for years that he changes like from week to week according to the metagame's like current makeup.
Wow.
If you want a Taking Turns deck, Daniel Wong is your guy.
All right, well, so Daniel Wong, not much on the board here. He's got that explosive apparatus up against Bogart Brute from Sam Pardee. Oh, a little hasty action here now from Sam.
Some hostility in the Minotaur variety.
Yeah. 3/3 haste for 4. I mean, historically, just a fine seal deck or a limited card, right? It seems to have actually underperformed considering like how many 3/2 haste creatures have done well at that casting cost in previous limited formats. I've actually been a little underwhelmed by the hostile Minotaur.
Yeah, it's a card that a lot of the other 4-drops trump. So, like something like
Gallant Cavalry.
Gallant Cavalry really pumps the brakes on that card.
All right, so Bogart Brute attacks, Menace. Daniel Wong says, sure, block with both. He's like, I'll kill the actual creature. You can keep the token.
And, there are different schools of thought and at times when each of those things would be correct. If you're playing against a black deck, you want to kill the token to prevent them from using a card like Gravedigger or Isareth the Awakener. Whereas if you're playing against a
deck
blue
with
deck,
blue.
Yeah, they can bounce it back to their hand when you turn it off in some way or another.
So a second Bogart Brute comes down for Sam Pardee. Fifth mana for Daniel Wong. What's he going to do? So talk to me a little bit about Daniel Wong's deck. What are you seeing in there?
So Daniel Wong is playing a green-white deck, and he's splashing blue for Switcheroo.
Oh.
He has a decent amount of token production. This is one of the best cards in his deck here that he played right now is Valiant Knight. This card pumps all of your other knights. He has this knight token on the battlefield, and he can also pay 5 mana to give knights he controls double strike.
Yeah, the combination with the Gallant Cavalry, that can end a game very quickly.
Mm-hmm.
All right, well, the knight trades with the hostile Minotaur, and in comes the Bogart Brute. Again, Menace, so not something that Daniel Wong can block with just one creature. And Elvish Rejuvenator. Okay, and then you see that switcheroo in hand, by the way, for Daniel Wong.
Now, Sam has had a lot of cards in
see
his...
Daniel Wong pump. He's like, come on, miss. It's like, look, man, one person already missed at this table with Elvish Rejuvenator. It does not happen very often. Go 5 cards deep and not hitting a land.
Sam has not got an opportunity to use his mana as efficiently as he might have liked to over the last few turns. That leads me to believe that this 6th land has kind of unlocked Big Butt Town for him. So I imagine the coming turns we'll see Sam Pardee play Colossal Dreadmaw after Colossal Dreadmaw.
Speaking of disproportionate butts, I think there's a Transmogrifying Wand in Daniel Wong's hand.
Ooh.
So turn some creatures into oxen. Keljoran Oxpost, if you will.
Yeah.
Or not.
Sometimes you'd rather they just have a beast of burden,
All right, so he's going to play a Sky Scanner here. He's also holding that switcheroo in hand, by the way. All right, passes the turn. Back to Sam. Well, let's see what Sam's going to do now that he's up to that threshold of 6 mana, the Colossal Dreadmaw line.
Mm-hmm.
Boy, we've seen a lot of green. There's Colossal Dreadmaw. I feel like we've seen green has been the most popular color in the feature match area, followed by black-white.
Yeah, I think that we have seen more green than anything else. We're still early in the day.
Yeah.
And I know from personal experience that I'm definitely winning the most with blue in this sealed format. So,
do you think that's what we'll see as players bubble up towards the top of the standings? You're expecting a little more of that?
Yeah, when we start looking at the 7-0s and 8-0s, I imagine we're going to see more blue-white, blue-black type of decks.
So
although green and white are the deepest colors, so
which in sealed just
matters a lot.
Yeah, it matters. It's so huge that you're able to assemble a deck. Here's the Transmogrifying Wand we mentioned earlier. And you know what? Colossal Dreadmaw is just going to be medium-sized Oxen. Get a 2/4 Ox. You get to do that 3 times. You can do that to your own creatures. If you can make your artifact creature indestructible, you can get a free Ox.
It works.
It does work, yeah.
Aether Shield Artificer?
Yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You see Sam Party giving a read, just trying to see what he needs to know here about this card. Is my creature exiled? Is it, can I do something to counter that? Just give it a check. Not a card you probably have a ton of experience playing with or against. Still very early in the format also.
Also just, one of the most fun cards you can play with in this format, turning somebody's creatures into Ox. Oxen are, adorable, wonderful, fuzzy creatures. Pull cards for you.
The Noble Ox has been a big part of Magic for a long time. Usually worried about a pump spell, so no blocks.
No blocks. No blocks.
All right, so Sam Party is like, all right, what am I doing here? He's like, I'm attacking with everything. I'm sending in my Rejuvenator. I'm sending in my Ox. I'm sending in my Bogart Brute. You're at 11. Let's get this game over with.
Daniel Wong in a situation here where just 2 untapped mana, so can't use his onboard trick of Explosive Apparatus.
Yeah, that card's been sitting there since more or less since turn 1.
And Daniel Wong has Valiant Knight as a good blocker here for any of the attackers, basically. As a double block on the Bogart Brute seems like the most straightforward block, but that really opens him up to, getting really badly hurt by a pump spell that Sam Party could have. Sam Party does have a...
All right, well, Sam's going to put the Sky Scanner up front. He's going to just lose his Bogart Brute and make another Colossal Dreadmaw. He's like, I want more Ox.
That seems like a pretty good exchange for Daniel Wong.
Sam gets him Daniel down to 8. Nothing really switcherooable here for Daniel Wong. Maybe that Sky Scanner would have been okay.
I also find it really interesting that Daniel Wong is splashing for Switcheroo, a card that a lot of people may not even include in their deck. It plays much better out of a green-white deck than it does out of a blue-based deck, for what it's worth.
All right, well, the Dreadmaw goes down. We got a second Ox for Sam.
I like the flavor of this game right now. There are like these giant dinosaurs running at Daniel, and he's just turning them into an ox. Turning it into an ox.
They haven't even had a chance to start running. They're just like, they've just landed on the lawn, and they're still dizzy. But okay, here comes Reclamation Sage, and that takes down the wand. That's got to have been a top deck from Sam, because I don't think he would have run his second Dreadmaw out there, if not for not for the Sage. Well, it looks like we're going to see Gaspark twins. Big, dumb monster.
Daniel Wong, I believe, has a Meteor Golem and a Switcheroo in hand.
Wow, and there's a Hydra from Sam Pardee.
Yeah, Hungering Hydra. Now this creature costs X and a green, and it comes into play with X +1 counters, and then whenever it's dealt damage, it gets that many more +1 counters.
So now, if it gets 6 damage right now, exactly.
Then it just dies.
Okay.
It needs to survive its damage.
Okay.
There are cool things you can do with it, though. I've, electrified my own Hungering Hydra to attack for lethal.
Oh, neat. I think we might see a little switcheroo here. It's like, you can have this Centaur Courser. I would really like this 6/6 Hydra.
Ooh, that's a Resplendent Angel.
Oh, and then Resplendent Angel is the follow. Wow, that's a big turn there from Daniel Wong.
Your Resplendent Angel is a really nice card because on its face it's a 3/3 flyer for 3, which is already just absurd. Then if you ever gain 5 life, which there are a number of ways to do in this format, you get to make a free angel. And it has this ability, which is really convenient, wherein it gets bigger and gains lifelink so that it gains you 5 life and makes you an angel. So Resplendent Angel, a mythic rare that demands a removal spell from your opponent.
All Sam Pardee can muster here is a spider. And multiple creatures that Daniel Wong can sink mana into to activate.
Daniel Wong in no way starved for mana sinks.
Right, well, he's going to attack with the Hydra and the Resplendent Angel. And he is going to pump it.
Yeah, so 6 mana. Now this is going to become a 5/5 lifelinker. Daniel Wong getting to jump all the way up to 13.
Wow, look at this. Yeah, what a swing. Sam falls to 9. Daniel goes to 13. And, oh, by the way, we got some an angel token on the board. Wow. And again, Sam's also, really at 7. Because remember, we've also got that explosive apparatus there.
And the explosive apparatus also has, put Sam in a situation where it's been very hard for him to, play a certain number of combat steps.
So Rabid Bite is going to take down the angel off of a Vine Mare. That was Sam's whole turn there. Also, keep in mind, Daniel Wong can use the apparatus to just make the Hungering Hydra into an 8/8.
Yeah.
Wow, Daniel's deck, very, very big top end here. See, he's holding a Meteor Golem in hand, too.
Yeah. I'm a big fan of Daniel's deck. Lots of great cards. He's a Palaka Worm also. Oof.
So there's his Elvish Rejuvenator. So 5 cards. He does not miss. Wow. What can Sam do to finish off these last 13 points of damage, not die to that Hydra?
Elvish Rejuvenator is quite strong in Daniel's deck.
How about Vivian Reed? What does this do for him?
All right, so the plus ability on Vivian Reed allows Sam to get a creature from the top of his library. Looks
I think right now
cards.
he wants to kill that flying creature, right?
Yeah, and the minus allows him to destroy a tapped creature or an artifact or enchantment.
And then Explosive Apparatus finishes off Vivian Reed. Wow. Cool game here between these two players, and just in comes the Hydra. Takes 2 damage. It's going to go to 9. Does Sam Pardee have any way to deal with his own Hydra?
Red green deck is usually starved for ways to deal with really, really large bodies, and a 9/9 that gets bigger whenever it's dealt damage is about as large as a body can get.
Yeah, and Sam comes to the same conclusion you did. He's like, yeah, I can't deal with that. All right, let's go ahead to game 2. Again, no shuffling. We're time walk. So we're sped up a little bit, as the round is winding down behind us. And Basilisk gets shocked immediately by Sam Pardee.
And Sam, he missed his 3rd land drop, just hit it here on his 4th turn.
Oh, suspicious bookcase.
In these green mirrors, a lot of the time the boards can get pretty stalled up. Suspicious Bookcase is the kind of card where you can, both set up an early defense against a deck that has a lot of cards like Centaur Courser, and then use it as a win condition later on once both players have, 6/6 and 7/7 green creatures staring at each other.
Wait, did we just see another whiff?
Did we really? Oh my goodness.
Wow, Elvish Rejuvenator is whiffed twice this round.
Yeah, the feature match area, not a lucky place to be casting Elvish Rejuvenator.
All right, well, there's Vinemare. All right, not a great draw here from Daniel Wong. He's just got 7 lands in play. Oh, but he's got a Titanic Growth for the suspicious bookcase to take down the Vinemare. Wow. Vinemare does not die to a lot of things, but it's vulnerable to bookcases falling on it.
I like
giant bookcase.
A horse
fell
walking
right
in,
on me.
just like walks into the bookcase by accident and falls on him. It was a really big bookcase for what it's worth also.
All right, now here's a Colossal Dreadmaw. And I think we might see a little switcheroo again here. Oh, no, we're going to see Sky Scanner. Oh, a Transmogrifying Wand. Take down the Dreadmaw. Transmogrifying Wands look great against this multiple Dreadmaw deck.
Yeah, the card really shines the brightest when you're playing against these green decks that are playing things like Gnarlbark Twins and Colossal Dreadmaws. Being able to turn those into 2/4s, really strong. Also, obviously, it's quite strong with cards like Doomed Dissenter, where you're able to, generate a lot of power for a very small amount of mana.
So Reclamation Sage came down, took down the Transmogrifying Wand. A little bit of a mana glut here for Daniel Wong.
Ooh, it looks like Daniel Wong also has Lena.
Yeah. That's Lena Selfless Champion. Looks like it's in hand here. And that's going to make him a handful of tokens.
Now this is a really cool card. It's a 3/3 for 6 mana that creates a 1/1 token for each creature you have on the battlefield, and then you can sacrifice it to give all creatures with power less than it indestructible until the end of turn. A card, when you're playing against something like green-red, it can buy you all the time in the world.
All right, so there's the Hydra again. 6 mana. 6 power. And Switcheroo, I would like to take that Hydra. You can have this token here. And I'm going to peck away for 1 in the air with Sky Scanner. And there's the Resplendent Angel. Wow, Daniel Wong's deck is just firing on all cylinders.
Yes, it is.
Is that a Rabid Bite? I can't quite see in the glare there, I'm assuming.
Yeah, I assume with the way that he pointed at the hostile Minotaur of the card, then at the Resplendent Angel, that a Rabid Bite was able to swim down.
All right, so in comes the Hydra and the Sky Scanner.
And interesting to note, Hieromancer's Cage is going to be really important here because if Sam did not have a card like Hieromancer's Cage, the bookcase in conjunction with the Hydra represented a two-turn clock.
Yeah, absolutely.
And Sam, considering what he's been up against this game, has done a really, really good job.
Not much action left in Daniel's hand here, but he can just bookcase. Yeah, there we go. He's going to get a nice little clock here. He's gonna get the wand back. Why he's even got a Dryad Greenseeker? Are you kidding me?
Ooh.
I love this deck.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of this deck.
So there's Rock's Oracle. Sam's just up against it here. He actually needs to deal with that bookcase really badly. And same thing. So this is it. It's this turn. Sam needs to find some way to gain some life, deal with some. No, he doesn't have it. Daniel Wong takes it down 2-0 over Sam Pardee. And, wow, pretty cool. And kind of nice also that Daniel Wong, you talked about taking turns, is in the feature match area at the same time as Ben Stark with his Magistrate Scepter.
I would have been very happy if Daniel Wong was playing Magistrate Scepter. Would have been perfect.
All right, so that is round 5. So Daniel Wong and Ben Hull both take down 2 pretty big names in the room. We'll see how things go as we move forward here at Grand Prix Sacramento. Don't go anywhere.